Yeah, thank you. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone joining us, depending on where you are joining us from. It is my pleasure to welcome you to our 14th edition of our free webinar series on the auspices of Paxetcuris and Associate Consults. Today, we'll be looking at spotlighting on the utilized mechanisms in ADR. I am Samuel Robusa Hussain, and it will be my pleasure to walk you through this interesting discourse. We'll be discussing together, we'll share knowledge together, and I do hope that at the end of this 1 hour, we'll be better informed than the way we were when we started. Now, at the end of this 1 hour, we'll quickly go through some objectives. We want to establish the fact that ADR is here to stay. It's going nowhere. The journey has begun and it can only get better. We want to look at awareness as far as ADR is concerned. Take a little peep at ADR clause and ADR agreements, as it were. We want to streamline our focus on ADR processes, looking at the spectrums. We'll harp on the role of ADR practitioners in ADR processes. We'll also look at the role of ADR institutions in ADR processes. We're going to talk about the role of governments in ADR processes, finalize with ADR spectrum. Then we give time for questions, answers, discussion. According to John Maxwell, permit me to begin with some quotes. A great leader's courage to fulfill his vision comes from passion and not his position. As ADR experts, as ADR practitioners, as lovers of peace, we will all agree that we have different positions based on hierarchy, our skill, our competence, and our experience. No matter the level we are, with our passion, we can add significant value to the process. We don't need to wait till we are up there before we contribute our quota. No matter the level we are, it is our responsibility to contribute the little we can to the development of our practice. Marshall B. Rosenberg said, to practice the process of conflict resolution, we must completely abandon the goal of getting people to do what we want to do. As much as we know that the ADR process is party-driven, we must understand it is not all about what we want from parties. It's much more all about what they want and how we can assist them in providing solutions to their disputes. One of my revered mentors, Ambassador VAAA or Jaide, he always says, when parties come to the table of ADR, they are coming with a mind to have their dispute resolved and not with a mind to have their dispute complicated or compounded. So we must put it in mind that our role is to assist parties explore what they want and not to determine what they want. Although this is subject to the ADR spectrum parties have chosen. Winston Churchill said, a pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. As resource expounders, we must know that when we are faced with disputing parties, when we are faced with disputants, it is our role to think outside the box in order to assist them achieve their desires. If we think like them, we may not be able to assist them. If we reason like them, we may not be able to assist them. So it is our responsibility to see how we can expand our horizon. It is our responsibility to see how we can think outside the box in a way to forward, moving forward, assisting the parties resolve their disputes. To be kind is more important than to be right. Many times what people need is not a brilliant mind that speaks, but a special heart that listens. This is crucial. As ADR practitioners, we must be reminded it is not all about how much we know. It's all about how much we can assist the parties. So it is not all about what we say, but what the party says and how much we can help them add value to the process. That is what ADR is all about. Please permit me to confirm. I hope I'm still being heard.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Now, this brings us to the introduction. With reference to ADR, it is interesting to note that ADR practitioners belong to different schools of thought, as we already know, as touching the meaning of ADR. To some, it is African dispute resolution because they believe that it has its roots in Africa. To others, it is affordable dispute resolution because they believe it's a cheaper way of resolving dispute. Others, is amicable dispute resolution. To some, it is appropriate dispute resolution, while generally it is viewed as alternative dispute resolution. I'm already working on a webinar trying to juxtapose appropriate dispute resolution and alternative dispute resolution. And I'm sure in no distant time, it will be brought to our knowledge. ADR has come to stay. Nigeria has a legal framework that supports ADR. Several states in Nigeria, in their High Court Civil Procedure rules, there are provisions for ADR. Different multi-door courts in the country have been established with procedure rules backing the practice of ADR. Significantly, we have the Arbitration and Mediation Act 2023 that was signed into law. All these gives validity to the fact that ADR has come to stay, and it will get better and better by the day. The AMA 2023 is not the first legal framework that has been coined for the purpose of ADR. I'm sure we've attended a whole lot of webinars where we'll be taking through different laws that have been coined for the purpose of structuring the practice of ADR in Nigeria. And currently we are using the Arbitration and Mediation Act 2023. And I'm so sure that this will not be the last act as regards ADR, because as we begin to practice, dynamism is inevitable. Creativity is inevitable. Innovations are inevitable. And the more the practice expands, the more we have more pressure. There'll be the need to rehearse what we have already. This signifies a great milestone for ADR in Nigeria. Noble Lords, Your Excellencies, permit me to say the journey started way back and it will not end in our time. Our forefathers handed over the baton to us, and I'm so glad we have in our midst today seasoned ADR practitioners. Permit me to say the very men that baptized me into the world of ADR. They are right here with us. We have the immediate past president of the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators, the foremost mediation institute in Black Africa, no other than Agatha John Elachi, SAN. These were the men that nurtured me into the world of ADR, and I'm glad that we are moving forward. And as ADR practitioners, if our fathers have sacrificed and done so much to move the practice of ADR to where it is our responsibility to brace up for the challenge ahead, because I believe the journey has just begun. The awareness of ADR in Nigeria is growing, but there's still room for improvement. So much has been done, so much is being done, but there's much more than we can do. I don't know if you've had the opportunity of meeting individuals and they will tell you, what is ADR? I don't think I've ever heard of ADR. I'm opportune to work at the Edo State Multi-Door Court. And most times when we have compelling or court referrals, people walk into our office and say, what do you do here? We've never heard of this.
Mr. Sam, I can't hear you anymore. Can anyone hear me so we can determine if it's him?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Mr. Sam, you went silent for a bit.
Oh, thank you so much.
Mr. Sam, I can't hear you too. It's silent here.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm sure it was just network glitch.
Okay.
So much has been done. So much is being done, and there's much more to be done. We don't need to rest on our oasis. In Nigeria, we have court-connected ADR centers, and the foremost is the Lagos Multi-Door Courthouse that was a Multi-Door Courthouse established in the month of October 2003. We have the Kano Multi-Door Courthouse established on the 20th of January 2004. We have the Edo State Multi-Door Courthouse established February 20th, established Friday 20th January 2017. We have the Ogun State Multi-Door Courthouse established 10th February 2017. And currently in Ogun State, we have about 4 multi-door courthouses spread across the nooks and crannies of Ogun State. And even in Edo State, the multi-door courthouse has recently been expanded into 2 additional facilities. What are we portraying? We are simply saying the Enugu multi-door courthouse was established on the 17th of December 2018. So much is being done on a structural level. So much is being done in an institutional level to increase the awareness of ADR. And as practitioners, we owe it a duty to propagate the gospel of ADR. Looking at ADR awareness, we obtain in quotes, as we know, ADR is a faster way of resolving disputes. And one of the unique peculiarities of ADR is the fact that it sustains the relationship within the parties. It restores them back to their pre-dispute position. It preserves their relationship. And it also, some persons say that ADR is a cheap way of resolving dispute. This is a function of the disputes because we know that the cost of a process is a function of the nature of the process. We were opportune to attend the inauguration of NDIC panel of mutuals, and our highly revered SCN, Agada Elachi, said clearly, and permit me to please quote, sir, ADR may not be cheap in quotes when compared to litigation, but taking clue from the fact that you may spend 16 years, 10 years in court, and under the process of ADR, you're able to resolve a dispute in a year or 6 months or 8 years, or 8 months as it were. So the parameter for cost may not be too significant as it were. The important factor there is the ability to resolve the dispute, even if the dispute has not been resolved, but you must have taken the parties through a process where they are better informed on how to manage the issue. One of the drawbacks in their of ADR is public awareness. Permit me to ADR, they don't understand how it works. You see parties coming in for session with a mindset to convince the ADR practitioner, with a mindset to convince the third party neutral why decisions should favor them, not having a clear understanding that ADR is party and accommodates all. Another concept to be trained as an ADR practitioner. Many practitioners are members of different institutes, both local and international accredited. A revered ADR practitioner said every year he makes sure that he tops up his knowledge. Why? Because disputes are evolving. We have been told that the only thing that is constant is change. If change is constant, disputes are also changing. Disputes are becoming innovative. The world of ADR, permit me to say, is an ever-evolving world. It keeps evolving. And when it keeps evolving, it simply means that as practitioners, we need to up our game by undergoing training and continuous training, not just a one-off training, but in a continuous note. Another drawback for ADR is what I call disposition of ADR practitioners to the practice of ADR. I wouldn't know, but I've discovered, I may be wrong, that most ADR practitioners, when they have disputes, they don't resort to ADR. I know we have seasoned ADR practitioners in the house. Some ADR practitioners, when they have disputes with parties, when they have issues, they don't resort to ADR. They resort to litigation. They don't even promote the process. Who else can blow your trumpet louder than you? Who else can blow your trumpet better than you? It is our responsibility to move our practice forward. So even when we sit in sessions, most times, you discover that ADR practitioners want to even frustrate the process. This is not a plus, it is a minus. Let's look at ADR clauses and ADR agreements. On a daily basis, different types of contracts running into millions are being entered into by different persons worldwide. These contracts are either formal or informal. The question we may likely ask, how many of these contracts have ADR clauses? How many of these contracts have ADR agreements? Contracts are flying on a daily basis. People are entering into a form of contract, but in most cases, noble laws, in most cases, Your Excellencies, these contracts are executed without the parties entering into an ADR clause or an ADR agreement. Although there's provision for ADR to be entertained when parties are already in dispute, but I think it would be better ab initio that parties are made to understand the relevance of putting up an ADR clause or an ADR agreement. It will help them to begin to forecast in advance and know the right thing to do. It therefore means a lot needs to be done in this regard. We need to create more awareness on the need for parties to draft ADR clauses. We need to create more awareness on the fact that parties need to write their ADR agreement clause. Now, It may either be incorporated within the contract document, or it can be an extra document adding to the value of the principal document. Now, ADR clause help to prepare parties in advance. When they enter this agreement, it is easier for them to know that there's an opportunity for them not to resort to violence. There's an opportunity for them not to resort to any means that will be demeaning as touching dispute resolution. Now, what are the benefits of ADR clauses? Time efficiency, confidentiality, preservation of relationships, control over the process. It is cost effective. Let's look at some key elements of ADR clauses, ADR agreement. One of the significant features or element of an ADR agreement is the fact that it clearly states the action or the event that will trigger the activation of the agreement. It is not just open, it's not a tabula rasa. It helps us to streamline. Yes, we are entering into a contract. There's the probability that there will be some issues that will arise. What kind of issue should arise that will make us activate this clause? We all know insurance. Insurance is a scheme that assists the insured to return to its initial position before the loss. And occasionally they pay what they call premium. From the beginning, parties have been told that the insurance policy is not to make you rich, but to sort of stabilize you in the event of a loss. And there are some conditions that you must follow. There are some conditions that must be upheld. There are different types of insurance. And if you enter into a particular insurance cover and there's a loss that is not being covered, a loss that is not being covered by the insurance policy you took, you will not be indemnified. Now, this also plays when we are talking about arbitrage clause. When we are talking about ADR clause, when we are talking about ADR agreement, we are simply saying that there must be clearly stated the events that will give rise to the activation of the ADR clause. Thank you. Now, ADR mechanism, the ADR clause, we also state the type of process if disputes arise that parties will be subjected to. So it's like preparing for the day of trouble if eventually there's trouble. We all know that preparation makes the way easy for the purpose of sustainability. Now, going forward, a well-structured and a well-detailed ADR clause will also outline the order of process that parties will go through in the event of a dispute. How do I mean? We all know that there are different processes in ADR, as we are going to be looking into much later. Now, each of these processes, there's the opportunity to navigate from one to the other. A well-structured ADR agreement will clearly state in the event of a dispute, where do we begin? What option do we take? If that option fails, where do we move to? The agreement can dictate that parties will begin by exploring negotiation. If negotiation fails, they can upscale to mediation. If mediation is unable to resolve all the issues, they can now upscale to arbitration. The choice is theirs. So it makes it very easy and avoids rancor in case of a dispute. A well-structured ADR clause may go to the extent of dictating who the third party neutral should be, either an institute or an individual. In the case of a dispute arising from this contract that we are entering into, we are going to subject stated. So when there's need for us to resolve disputes, we will not need to run helter-skelter, because all the provisions and all the elements are in place. In some ADR agreements, it will be stated the time frame that the parties need for their disputes to be resolved. And to a large extent, parties will have this understanding that the fees that will be incurred will be shared amongst both parties. They may decide to come up with a ratio. If they don't, we all know it is on an equal balance, and they may go ahead to agree on the terms of enforcement. But permit me to quickly say this, that there's the need for parties to come up with their ADR clause or ADR agreement in consultation with a seasoned legal practitioner that also doubles as an ADR expert. Because we've seen so many cases whereby parties draw up arbitral ADR clauses, they enter into ADR agreement, at the end it's not admissible. So you see, all these factors, most times people downplay these elements. And that is why we decided to spotlight most of these elements that are crucial in drafting an arbitration clause and drafting a mediation clause or drafting an ADR clause generally. Noble Lords, Your Excellencies, permit me at this point to make it known, looking at the ADR process, as we all know, it is either institutional or ad hoc. In practice, ADR process can either be based on institutions or based on ad hoc policies. When we talk about institutionalized ADR processes, what are we making reference to? We are simply saying this is a process that is being handled by an established ADR institution. This is a process that is being overseen by an ADR institution. If it's going to be institutional, obviously, the rules of the institute will apply. The procedures agreed upon by the institutes will apply. And if it's going to be based on an institute, usually every institute, they have their own panel of neutrals. They have their pool of ADR experts that they usually make use of in the event of a dispute.
Welcome on.
What are we trying to explain? We are simply saying that ADR process is either institutional, powered by an institute. In Nigeria, we have so many ADR institutes, both private dispute resolution centers. There are so many. If individuals have the understanding that there are ADR institutes that they can take advantage of while drafting their ADR agreement or writing their ADR clause, they can ab initio decide on which institute they will submit to for the process of dispute resolution. Now, usually, the cost of the process is at the instance of the institute, because there'll be administrative cost, there'll be the cost of the process, and so parties make payments to the institute, while it is the duty of the institute to appoint a practitioner that will serve in the capacity of a third-party neutral to assist the parties. Somina, please, your hands is up.
Yeah, Mr. Sam, I'm sorry to disturb you. I logged out by virtue of network and I've lost my co-host right, so I can't mute others. Kindly reinstate. Apologies, please.
Thank you so much. You are remarkable, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. As the practice is, in most cases, when parties decide to submit themselves to arbitral institutions, to mediation institutions, to assist them resolve their dispute, they are usually provided with a pool of ADR practitioners that have been certified by this institute for the purpose of dispute resolution. Many parties may have the privilege of having met with these persons, so they may zero down on who they prefer. But in most cases, the institute has the prerogative to appoint individuals that will assist these parties. Now, where are we actually going to? We are making us to understand that the process of ADR can be institutional. And if it is institutional, it is bound to have the following characteristics. The process is streamlined, not at the instance of the parties to a large extent, but it is subject to the rules that have been agreed upon by the ADR service provider. If parties decide to submit themselves to an institute, you will discover that the institute already has their ADR practitioners. You may call them panel of neutrals. There's always a pool. So individuals may not be able to select ADR practitioners outside the pool of the institutes. The institute provides administrative support. They handle logistics, they handle paperwork, they handle communication between the parties, and a whole lot of other things. Enforcement is at the instance of the institute, like we established earlier. The cost is being determined by the institute, and it is less flexible if parties choose to submit their dispute to institute for the purpose of resolution. But permit me to say here that we also have ad hoc ADR processes. ADR institutes can do a lot. However, ADR practitioners can do much more. Permit me to say, I stand to be corrected because I have mentors in the house. Permit me to say this. Many ADR practitioners depend solely on ADR Institute for the purpose of practice. But if we continue like that, the rate of our growth may be stagnant. As ADR practitioners, we must understand that we have ad hoc ADR processes. What are the features? What are the challenges? Among the features is that the administration of the process depends on the parties and the practitioner. It therefore means if you're an arbitrator, parties can reach out to you for the purpose of providing your services directly. If you're a mediator, parties can reach out to you directly for the purpose of seeking your services in resolving their disputes. If you're a mediation advocate, parties can reach out to you directly. In other words, there's the need for us to make ourselves visible. There's the need for us to raise the bar. There's the need for us to do the needful for the purpose of creating more awareness about our services. There's a limit to what institutes can do. And that is why we must give respect to ADR practitioners that have decided to take the bull by the horn to establish their own private institutes, adding value. It's just like you will be told that any economy that works not because of government intervention, works because the private sector is hale and hearty. That is exactly what we find in our jurisdiction. So much expectation is on the ADR institutes. So much expectations is on the institutionalized form of ADR practice. But as practitioners in our personal scale, we must do all we can to make sure that we hone our skills and become visible. It is possible for an ADR practitioner to assist parties resolve their dispute, do the necessary documentation, and we move ahead. And you see many lawyers that are trained as ADR practitioners, they have their law firm, and their law firm also double as an ADR center. This is what we are talking about. The same way a lawyer makes prospects, contributing his or her quota to the growth of the legal profession, that is exactly how ADR practitioners must become resolute and deliberate in broadening our skills and making the practice of mediation, making the practice of arbitration, making the practice of mediation advocacy more visible and viable within our jurisdiction. We don't need to wait until we are being called upon by an institute to mediate a matter, to serve as a sole arbitrator or a co-arbitrator. There are a lot of initiatives we can do. There are a lot of activities we can do to make the public understand that apart from institutionalized ADR processes, we also have ad hoc ADR processes. Please confirm that I'm still audible and you are following, please. I need a confirmation, please.
Yes,
You're
please.
audible. You're audible.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's no process without its challenge. The burden is usually on the parties to look, to seek, to scout for ADR practitioners. So if they are not known, how will they look for them? If they are not known, how will they search for them? It therefore means this is a clarion call on all ADR practitioners that are on the call today. Let us become more creative in making ourselves visible. Let us become more innovative in making ourselves visible. When we up our game, it will be a plus for the institutes that we are part of. The challenges of seeking a qualified ADR practitioner may be there. And enforcement may also be a challenge, but an ADR practitioner that understands his acts, knows how to take advantage of the situation, making reference to the available law in the jurisdiction for the purpose of enforcement. We have always been told over and over again that there's more money in private practice than when you are attached to an institute. Permit me to take that again. We've always been told that there's more money as a private ADR practitioner than when you are attached to an institute. The other challenge is ab initio, you may not be too sure of the complexity of the disputes. For an institutionalized process, when parties make submission of their dispute, the institution looks at the terms, at the nature of the dispute, and make reference to their pool to seek for the most qualified or one of the qualified or competent persons that will assist in the process. But as an ad hoc ADR practitioner, what if the dispute you've been contracted to mediate upon or to act as a sole arbitrator, you have no knowledge about that issue? What will be the case? Somebody said that ADR practitioners needs to be jack of all trade. Even when we are jack of all trade, we must also choose a specific area of specialty. And over the years, you will discover that you will get better at what you do. And that is why we belong to different platforms. That is why we belong to different institutes. There's always an opportunity for us to share ideas. You belong to different platforms. I know that the purpose of being in different platforms is not just to share social news, but to interact. The purpose of being in different platforms is to socialize as regards adding value to our process. That is why I belong to a platform known as the Association of Multi-Doc House Practitioners. On that platform, we have seasoned ADR practitioners that always post thought-provoking questions. One of my revered mentor, Ambassador Segun Ogunyoro, the president of Mediation Training Institute Nigeria. He always put thought-provoking questions, post news, post updates that is relevant to the practice of ADR. All these are to make us equipped for the challenges ahead, because the dynamism of disputes that evolve every day is a challenge to practitioners. We need to move forward for the purpose of successfully assisting parties. Don't forget, when you are able to assist parties resolve a dispute efficiently, the probability that you will be called for another task is high. Therefore, we need to up our game. Now, desired level of control, cost consideration, and ADR experience of parties can also play in as a challenge in an ad hoc ADR process. Permit me to say, by understanding the differences between institutional and ad hoc ADR processes, you can make informed decisions about the best approach for resolving your disputes. Information-based decision is usually more impactful than taking a decision that is not being backed by information. Noble Lords, Your Excellencies, what are the key functions ADR institutes or ADR practitioners? What are the key functions ADR institutes or the ADR space? Please, this is my little submission, and I do hope at the end of the presentation we have contributions from seasoned practitioners on the call. Training and development. ADR Institute conducts and coordinates trainings in form of workshops, in form of courses for ADR experts. Also structures mentorship program. As we all know, ADR sessions are usually confidential sessions, but there's always an opportunity being created by institutes that enables mentees tag along with mentors for the purpose of experience sharing. I want to commend the Settlement House ADR Training Institute because they have been in the front in coordinating a lot of activities. They have been in the front in coordinating a lot of interventions between mentees and mentors. Let me quickly acknowledge the Nigerian Chartered Institute of Nigeria, Chartered Institute of Chartered Arbitrators. A section dedicated to young ADR practitioners. They may be old in age, but the years of practice may be young, so they call them young practitioners. Let me also appreciate the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators that is in the forefront of the volunteer mediation scheme. Is a scheme that gives young mediators the opportunity to have first-hand experience as far as mediation is concerned, making them co-mediators, assistant mediators to seasoned mediators. So this is where Institute comes in as far as ADR process is concerned, to help parties develop their skills, to help practitioners develop their skills. Institutions also come in the way of professional development and recognition, membership accreditation. You are an associate, you are a member, you are a fellow. It's just a way of segregating and creating hierarchy and harmony. It doesn't mean an associate is better than a fellow. It doesn't mean a fellow is better than an associate, but it is their way of measurement, measuring your input, measuring your contribution. And please permit me to say this at this juncture. If you're a member of an institute, try to make yourself visible. Relate with your officials. You may be at the state level. Relate with your national officers. Uneasy lies the head that will wear the crown. Don't just be a member by induction. Be a member by impact. Be a member by input, because it takes two to tango. It is the duty of ADR institutes to conduct designated programs, to create network opportunities. In the last annual conference of NICAB, Nigerian Institute of Chartered Arbitrators, there was opportunities for practitioners from other regions came into the country, interface with local practitioners. That was a big opportunity. ICMC does the same. In the last workshop that ICMC coordinated, we had resource persons from different parts of the world speaking to practitioners. Settlement House ADR Training Institute, in most of their settlement are invite ADR practitioners from other jurisdictions. So you will get to know what happens in other jurisdictions. You have the knowledge about what happens where you are. So when you have opportunity of changing your base and traveling to a different location, you are not a novice as per what happens there. All these are made possible by the intervention of ADR Institute. It is also the role of ADR Institute to provide rules and guidelines for the process. Their case managers, their neutral selectors, the institute usually assign cases to ADR practitioners based on competence, based on experience, to enable parties resolve disputes. And most ADR institutes have hearing facilities. So parties don't need to bother themselves looking for where to hold sessions. The cost is incorporated into the cost parties pay. They have hearing facilities that can be used both for ADR sessions or for extra sessions. Noble lords, great minds. The ADR Institute also involves itself in advocacy, promoting ADR and promoting legislative framework that guides the process. We all know that so much was put into what we have now as the Arbitration and Mediation Act 2023. So much was put in by institutes, by individuals, by revered ADR practitioners. And we all do know that when it is time to get a new law that will be subject to dynamism, we will also get a new law. And we are hopeful that institutes that are due for legal backing will get it from the appropriate authorities. Noble lords, having looked at the responsibility of ADR institutes, to both practitioners and to the process, to the ADR world generally, permits me to also spotlight on the function of ADR practitioners. It is expected that ADR practitioners will build credibility and expertise at all costs. There's no place for trial. There's no privilege for rehearsal. We must build credibility. We must build expertise. As ADR practitioner, it is a high quality, not negotiable. Don't forget that you have the ability to assist parties in resolving disputes. If you are unethical at the slightest opportunity, you may end up escalating tensions, and that will not do us any good. Let me make this quote again. At the early part of this discourse, I highlighted and I said, in the words of one of my highly revered mentors, please confirm that you can hear me.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
we can hear you.
Thank you so much.
Clearly.
I needed to be sure that I'm not alone in my space. In the words of my
Right on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Your Excellency. In the words of one of my revered mentors, Ambassador VAAA Ojaide, he will always say to us, as an ADR practitioner, parties believe that you have the power to assist them resolve their disputes. They believe that you are wiser than King Solomon. So they come to you and submit to you. Even if ab initio, they are not too open. In the process, they may begin to trust you. Don't take that opportunity for granted. Don't complicate what you are supposed to simplify. How can we do this? We owe it a duty to up our game. We owe it a duty to improve the quality of service that we render. And that is why we must appreciate as revered mentors. We must appreciate highly experienced and skilled ADR practitioners that are always in the habit of sharing experience with us. We're in different platforms. They usually put information. They give us skills. They give us knowledge to enhance our skill. Different institutes organize webinars. Different institutes organize training. It is the duty of ADR practitioners to improve themselves at all costs. You can't keep on waiting for an institute to train you. You can't keep on waiting for an institute to give you an opportunity. You must work on yourself. You must be sure as much as you know your name. I'm sure if I give opportunity to
game changer for participants.
Please, if you are not on the call, please just mute yourself. Thank you so much. I'm grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm sure if I give opportunities to ADR practitioners to share experiences with us on the number of trainings they've done and the cost they've incurred, you'll be doused. We have placed so much in this profession. People have invested so much in this profession, and the demand gets higher as the day goes by. It is our duty to up our game, to share experience. It's our duty to provide feedback and input to the institutes we belong to. Don't forget, there should be an open circle of communication. If you're a member of an institute, give feedback to your institute on the workings in your locality. In one of the webinars we attended under the auspices of Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators, one of the participants said she will love that the institute open a chapter in her locality. That was a great feedback. And I'm sure machineries are already in place to get it sorted out. So as members of Institute, as members of NICAB, as members of ICMC, as members of SHATI, as members of Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management, as members of Society for Peace, Practice and Studies, as members of different institutes, we must learn to give feedback to our parent body, both at the state level and at the national level. Don't just be a member of an institute by carrying your ID card or your lapel, moving everywhere. Make sure you contribute to the growth of your institute in your branch. There are so many institutes. When you talk of membership, there are so much. But for those that are visible, they are nowhere to be found. Pay your dues, make sacrifices, contribute the little you can contribute to the growth of the institute, because those you are looking up to today, people may begin to look up to you tomorrow. What you don't make happen for others, others may not make happen for you. Socialize, be innovative in your practice. As ADR practitioners, socialize. Liaise with practitioners from different jurisdictions. There are so many practitioners, when they're in a session and there's a deadlock, they adjourn. Why do they adjourn? For the purpose of sharing experience with senior mentors, getting clue on the way to move forward. There are some people that do not know and do not want to know. There are those that do not know and they do not know that they don't know. Why there are those they do not know, but they always seek to know. I hope we understood what I'm trying to say. Now, as ADR practitioners, we must promote ADR to the public. It is our own, it's our duty. We must promote ADR to the public speaking, client education, tell people about ADR. What do you put on your status? We have the School of Alternative Dispute Resolution, organizing trainings for interested ADR practitioners. How do you relate with people? We must promote. If we don't promote our profession, nobody will promote it for us. Somebody said, what you don't value will not add value to you. As ADR practitioners, we should shun unethical behaviors and we should uphold ethical conduct. We should uphold ethical conduct. And whatever becomes a clog in the wheel of progress should be dealt with. If there's any challenge, it's our responsibility to take the bull by the horn to see what we can do. You may not have the money, but you can contact those that have the wherewithal to sort the issues. By actively engaging with ADR institutions and contributing their expertise, ADR practitioners play a significant role in strengthening the ADR world as a whole. Noble Lords, I wouldn't know if we have much time, but I just want to spotlight the fact that ADR institutes all the government responsibilities a whole lot. It is the expectation of ADR Institute to assist in reducing the court docket. It is the expectation of ADR Institute to make the process of dispute resolution efficient. It is the duty of ADR Institute to handle trivial issues and allow the honorable justices focus on more complex and technical issues. I'm sure if ADR Institute share data and information with government on the number of cases they're able to resolve and their interventions, we will see much more of government participation in ADR. Permit me to take that again. I believe if we have a system that enables ADR Institute supply to the government raw data about the activities, not confidential information, but nothing stops an institute. In the last 6 months, we've received 600 cases. We're able to settle 400. 200 were not settled. Information like that, when the government discovers that ADR Institute have become critical stakeholders in the dispute resolution system, we will see more of government intervention in the ADR space. Government also owes the ADR Institute a lot of responsibilities. The essence of this webinar is just to spotlight some of all these issues. It is the duty of government to create enabling legislation. Now, some persons have the school of thought that governments need to regulate ADR providers. Regulation may not just be in detail, but it may be in form of standard. For this point, a lot of people are for, a lot of people are against, but I don't need to go into that. It is the duty, nothing stops the government from making funds available. I believe that ADR institutes and private dispute resolution houses, they have so much action plan on the drawing board, but due to fund, it's difficult for them to marshal out all the activities. It is so funny how government spends so much money on celebrities. It is so funny how some of our rich politicians spend so much money on celebrities when they can do much more to further the cause of ADR. I think it is our time we take the bull by the horn and begin to advocate. Somebody said, in Nigeria, we have Nigerians that are even richer than the country. I leave that question for my opponents to answer. But I believe when relevant government agencies take ADR institutions more seriously and provide funds, there's much more they can do. Look at this, so much ADR institutions have been doing with the limited funds. How do they get their fundings? From membership dues. How many members pay dues? from trainings? How many members go for trainings? How are they surviving? How are they getting funds? But when government agencies step up, let me make an appeal. I know there may be some persons that are connected to the government in one way or the other. Please assist us to trumpet our call. We need government agencies to partner with ADR institutes. There's so much we can do. ADR institutes have been doing so much in the justice delivery sector, and there's much more they can do when funds are available. The government can help to monitor and collect data review processes. The government can help coordinate public education campaigns. It is not only when it's election that senators come back home and begin to seek for constituency projects. A senator can sponsor 10, 20 persons in the constituency to undertake a training on arbitration. A House of Representative member can sponsor 5, 10, 20 persons to undergo a training in mediation. It is possible. It is a service to humanity. I hope I'm making points that are being valid. I hope we are still together.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. I'm just being passionate about this today. The government can assist institutes to get international corporations in order to get more funding. Now, let me please be specific here. The government does not need to intervene or intermeddle with the activities of ADR institutes. ADR institute needs their independence. ADR institute needs their independence. They should not become a political arm of the government, because from what we see today, wherever government money enter, they want to make sure they control. If we are asking for funding, it doesn't mean you should become our boss. Government, by fulfilling these roles, government can create an enabling environment that will foster the growth and effectiveness of ADR institutions. Let us wrap up because we are getting out of time. We're going to conclude on this note, looking at the ADR spectrum. Permit me to just take a few minutes to harp on this. The ADR spectrum is like a toolbox. The question before us, what is in your toolbox? Now, please, I know we have seasoned ADR practitioners in the house. I need your help. I just want us to mention the different ADR mechanisms that we know. Please unmute and just mention any of the ADR mechanisms that is popular. The floor is yours, please. Please feel free to unmute and just mention any ADR mechanism that you know.
Mediation.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Arbitration.
Arbitration. Thank you. Any other one?
ABMED.
ABMED, thank you. Yes. We are together.
The neutrals.
Yes, go on. Can we mention any other one?
Conciliation.
Thank you. Thank you for your response. Now, I want to appreciate all of us for that awesome, that prompt and scholastic response. Thank you. I do not take it for granted. In the words of one of my revered mentors, Ambassador Segun Ogunyewo, permit me to say, you all are great men and women, and I appreciate you. Now, I'm sure when we're undergoing our accreditation training, either as mediators or arbitrators, we were told so many ADR spectrums, so many ADR mechanisms. If I had the time, I would have asked, of all these mechanisms that are here, how many have we made use of? How many have we used? I'm sure if we have the time, we will see a variety of answers. But of all these mechanisms, some are popular, some are not popular. And as we wrap up this webinar today, let's quickly spotlight on some of them. There are several common mechanisms in alternative dispute resolutions. Some are common, some are not common. They are all peculiar in their way. Each has its own advantage and applications. Some are more popular than others. To an average mind, when you talk about ADR, what comes to an average practitioner is negotiation, mediation, and arbitration. These are the basic three ADR processes that is known. And so in most cases, when matters are up for ADR, is either it goes for mediation or it goes for arbitration. And we all know as practitioners, in a month, if we have 20 ADR matters, I bet you 17 of them may be for mediation, and only 3 may even go for arbitration. In some cases, none goes for arbitration. It's very easy to mention all the types of ADR, all the mechanisms. It's very easy and sweet. But the question is how do we promote them? Some persons are of the school of thought. I'm looking forward to doing a webinar soon on that particular area. Some will tell you this method is better than this. This spectrum is better than this. I am not for, I'm not against, but I believe that we are all members of one big family. And it is time we put to rest every form of dichotomy as touching different aspects of ADR. Looking at expert determination, it is useful, but usually an unpopular ADR process. It may not be a standalone mechanism. It can be infused in a process. What does it entail? There are some disputes that cannot be resolved no matter how long you talk about it. You just need an expert to determine the actual outcome of the process. I was opportune to be part of a process, and all the issues have been discovered and been discussed. It got to a point. It got to a point, there was now issue of a signature on a document that authorized the transaction. The argument was this signature was signed by Mr. A. Mr. A said, this is my signature, but I'm not the one that signed it. It became a big issue. If this is your signature, you are not the one that signed it, how do we prove? Noble Lords, Your Excellencies, I want to believe there's no way you can negotiate or mediate such an issue. What was recommended? Expert determination. A forensic expert was contracted to determine if that signature is authentic and if the signature was actually signed by the owner. The result came out after a couple of months, and it put to rest that matter. Noble Lords, there are some issues we can resolve using expert determination. Talking about DNA, paternity, maternity, those are issues that you don't need to spend too much time on it. If parties agree, they go for the necessary test. When the result comes out, it is there for them. But before an expert determination process is initiated, the parties are usually made to sign a conformity document stating that they are bound to accept, they agree to undergo the process, and they will be bound by the outcome. Usually, the cost of expert determination is separate from the entire cost. So when they have agreed to the process, you are free to go through with the process. So this may not be a common or a popular process, but it is very valid. Neutral fact finder. I was opportune to be part of a session. The claimant said the respondent built on his land. And the respondent said, no, I did not build on your land. I have a piece of land in the community, but I've not authorized anybody to build on it. The claimant said he has done due diligence, and they have confirmed to him that the respondent has trespassed into his land. What was done? It was agreed that a neutral fact finder will be contracted to go and confirm the validity of their position. And when he came back with his report, everything ended. In some cases, parties may agree to visit locus in court. Oh, let us go and see for ourselves. There are some issues that cannot be resolved no matter how long you talk about it on the table. There's the need to have a fact-finding visit. ODR. Most cases, the world is now a global village. Noble lords, your excellencies, it's a global village we are living in now. And at times, we need to render our services to people that are not in the same geographical location. It therefore means, as ADR practitioners, we need to opt our skills when it comes to technology. If you are to attend a session and due to one issue, you are unable to make it, you can easily appear virtually as if you are there virtually. We've done matters with people in Germany, the other one in Australia, we are here in Nigeria. The process went on smoothly. They had attorneys that stood in for them. Some may decide to send soft copies of their signature through their attorneys for the purpose of the agreement. You can decide to scan, send it to them. There are procedures for undergoing an online dispute resolution process. I want to encourage us, if we've not gone through that process, please, we may need to go through that process. Noble lords, your excellencies, I'm glad that we have been able to come this far in this webinar today. I hope you can still hear me.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I may need to change my source of power soon. Please bear with me. Other process is judicial appraisal. Looking at judicial appraisal, parties may appoint a judge, maybe a retired judge, to look at the matter. At times, parties are so eager to go for litigation. I remember a counsel once said to me, it's too early to take this matter for ADR. Allow parties go to court when they have fought among themselves for years and they are tired. At that point, they can now decide to settle when they are now exhausted. And I said to the counsel, what if in the process of fighting, they incur irreparable loss? What if in the process of fighting, one loses his or her life? Will there be an opportunity for ADR? Some matters we think are so valid and germane. You may be so inspired with confidence that at the end of the day, you are going to get what you're looking for. But when you decide to submit your claims to a judicial officer, usually a retired judge, they can evaluate your claim and know where the matter is going to. And please, let me just quickly make this appeal. Most cases, as regards court-referred matters, we all know the way we make our claims in court differ from how you make your submissions for the process of ADR. In many cases, please confirm you can hear me.
You went out for a bit, Mr. Sam. You were quiet for a bit.
Yes. Thank you so much. I just want to quickly switch my device to another device. My screen will come up soon. Now, I was saying, we all know the process we undergo when we are making submissions, talking about for legal processes. In most cases, matters that parties decide to submit to litigation, in the wisdom of the court may decide that it should be referred for the purpose of ADR. It becomes obvious at that point, there may be the need for parties to amend their claim. A party can simply say, I need 500 million as compensation. It is the prerogative of the judge to say, no, you will get 50,000 naira. But when parties are making submission for the purpose of ADR, there may be the need for them to amend their claims. Noble Lords, Your Excellencies, I hope we've been able to spotlight some vital elements that gives value for the process of ADR. I do not intend to share with you what you do not know before, but it's just an opportunity to discuss with you and to make it very, very obvious that there's need for us to up our games and come together for the purpose of moving forward. I want to thank you for your time. I want to appreciate you for joining in from the deepest part of my heart. I say to you, you are great, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. The floor is open. You can make your contributions, share your thoughts, and we can then wrap up as a family. Thank you so much. Feel free to unmute and share your thoughts, please.
Hello, house.
So if you have any question,
Hello.
Yes, please. Mr. Chidi, the floor is yours. We can hear you.
My name is Chidi. Thank you so much for this inspiring lecture, teachings, and more. I really appreciate you. Then quickly, my question is, relying on my experience, the experience I've acquired, and what I've seen so far between the conventional courts, the conventional court and ADR, I want to ask a simple question, or I want to place it before the house, whether conventional court, referring a matter from conventional court to ADR, is it cheap or expensive? Is it cheap or expensive? Because the recent experience I had with a referee matter from a high court to ADR panel seems to be expensive in the sense that my client was very, very angry with me that from the beginning, I didn't inform him that there are so much exorbitant fees to pay before the ADR section and after the ADR section, so till now we are still debating on that issue.
Thank you so much.
So that is why I asked that question. Between ADR and normal conventional courts, which one is cheap? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. We'll note your questions, and I'm glad we have revered practitioners that will do justice to all your questions. So, Mina, your hands is up. Yes, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Simon. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this session. I would like to appreciate you because this has been my first time having a session on ADR. I never knew what it was about. If you remember when you sent me the flyer today, I asked what it was about. And in the course of the session, I have gone online to read a little bit about it. And I find it to be somewhat interesting, but it's something that I feel needs more enlightenment or sensitization. My first question is, who exactly is an ADR practitioner? Would you say an ADR practitioner is someone who has a legal background? Is that a definite must to be an ADR practitioner? What is the career pathway? After you've studied, you've gone through the process of becoming an ADR, practitioner? What is the pathway? I believe that's where you talked about mediation and all the other areas that came up, arbitration and so. Then I also would like to know who bears oversight, who bears direct oversight over ADR. Apologies if you had addressed this earlier. As I mentioned to you, I was multitasking. But I heard at a point where you said it is not something that you would like government to take full ownership and then it becomes an agency or part of the government, it becomes a political office. Who bears direct oversight over the institute in terms of control, laws, and practices? And would you consider ADR to be a semi-formal pathway? For me, it seems like an informal first approach to matters. I find it to be a mitigating pathway in the sense that you do this instead of going to the legal space, to the courtroom. Would that be correct to say it's an informal first or semi-formal pathway? And then lastly, I would like to know, apologies that there are a lot of questions, but I would like to know what steps have been taken for you to partner with international organizations, perhaps in the humanitarian space or development, to the extent where you can address issues such as disputes, where we have the farmers, herdsmen disputes. Do you handle those kind of issues, or is it individual matters that are brought to your table? These are insurgent, you also have insurgent groups, you know, can this be brought to your notice or is this beyond your purview? Thank you and over.
Thank you so much, Sumina, for your questions. We appreciate you. I don't know if we have any other questions that we can make attempts to start answering them. I want to make an appeal. If you need the recorded version of this webinar, please do well to drop your name, phone number, and email address on the chat box so that we can share with you the recorded version of this webinar. Thank you. Your name, phone number, and email address. Now, I have with me my bosses. Permit me to state here, I am just 4 years old in the ADR space. And I have mentors that baptized me in this ministry of ADR. Yeah, I'm glad to have them this evening with us. And I'll be reaching out to them to add value to this process. Now, the first question is ADR cheaper than litigation? It may be a yes or a no. But what we do know that ADR processes for the fees are a function of the dispute, the complexity of the dispute. The more complex the dispute is, the more the fee. I remember we said much earlier, a litigation process may take 10, 4, 5, 6, 8 years as it were. Now, the collective amount that will be expended for that period, ADR may just take 2 months, 8 months, 4 months. It may not be necessarily cheaper, but it is cost effective, taking the eventuality of the time you would have spent going for litigation one by one. It may not be cheaper, but it's time conscious. And to a large extent, the outcome of litigation may be anonymity, but one of the functions of mediation, one of the basic strengths and element of ADR is to see how we can restore predisposed positions. You don't need to be a lawyer to be an ADR practitioner. I'm not a lawyer. I studied banking and finance, but I'm an ambassador in the space of ADR. You don't need to be a lawyer to be a practitioner. If you are not even a lawyer, it simply means you are bringing more value to the table, because some disputes have financial backing. Some disputes are contract-based, maybe on engineering. We have different types of family disputes. So we have ADR practitioners that are specialized in the different spectrums of ADR. Once you are trained and certified, you can come on board. Who bears oversight function for ADR? We have institutions. I said we have institutionalized ADR processes and ad hoc ADR processes. Institutionalized, they are institutes that provide ADR services. Either of them you choose governs the process. We have international ADR practices. Yes. ADR is not just streamlined to local issues alone. Let me quickly call on, I have with me, I think I saw my mentor, Ambassador Segun Ogunyo. I don't know if he's still on the call. Ambassador, sir, do you mind shedding light on some of the issues that have been raised? I also have my mentor. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, my brother from another mother, for that fine presentation. Very deep, very expansive in nature. Before going on, I want to salute and appreciate my big brother in the house, His Excellency Sir Valentino Bruno. Your Excellency, you are a great man, and we appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. The first question was about cost effectiveness of ADR over litigation. Retired Justice Jolapo Akinsa once said that sometimes cases will emanate from lower courts only to get to the Supreme Court and then be sent back to the court of first instance to be heard all over again. At the end of the day, the parties are exhausted and bittered and impoverished. Those are strong words. Exhausted and bittered and impoverished. It is what resembles that you compare. It is what resembles that you compare, otherwise you contrast. The fact most multi-door courthouses have as part of their mission being able to provide enhanced, timely, cost-effective, and user-friendly access to justice. Enhanced, timely, cost-effective, and user-friendly access to justice. In terms of cost, I believe ADR will always provide for the parties a cheaper option. But then sometimes I tell lawyers, if there are big parties involved, when the clients come to you, give them a bill, especially when you have cases where the parties can appreciate the time value of money. After giving them a bill for going through litigation, ask the client, if I can get this case resolved in 2 weeks, maximum 1 month, how much more will you be willing to pay? How much more? So that client knows that you are providing express service. I have examples you can share with the client. Traveling from Benin to Abuja by road or by air, which one is more expensive? Which one is faster? Which one will save you time? For the second question about international accreditation, that is an interesting one. Before talking about international affiliations, let's appreciate the fact that the kind of conflicts we have in Nigeria are very unique. We have practitioners here in Nigeria who are far, far better than those people we see as better than us. Because we're colonized, we always have a feeling we need to have international affiliation. We don't need it. At the point when I started doing international trainings, people were asking for international affiliation. You know what I did? I went to Canada and registered a business there. And then I was doing international affiliation. When we get to Canada or anywhere in the world, I'll tell them, look, we have what it takes to assist parties in a short, confident, and professional manner. But talking about resources from abroad, yes, we have gotten a lot of backing. I've been part of a lot of UNDP projects on the Northeast, on the application of ADR to such disputes, on the farmer-elder conflict. We've done a lot. Because mediation is confidential, we do not publicize some of these things. I've done a lot in this field. I want to thank all those who have participated in this program today. Thank you for being part of this. You can get international funding. There's a lot. Fortunately, I've been privileged to benefit from some of this. And I want to say, yes, but please let us not undermine what we have. We have people in Nigeria who are doing a lot in promoting peace and harmonious coexistence. My brother, thank you for your efforts. Thank you for adding value to the field of ADR. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my revered mentor. It will be my honor to invite my boss, Mr. Valentino Bureau, to add voice as we draw the curtain to this session. I wouldn't know if Mr. Valentino is disposed to say one or two things. Mr. Valentino, please, are you on the call? Mr. Valentino, please, are you disposed to speak to us? Okay, we have the CEO of Shati, Mr. Nachang. Are you disposed to speak to us? Okay. While we wait for Mr.
So
Nachang,
what aspect do you want me to speak on, sir?
no, just generally on the webinar, as it were, observation, any contribution to the process. Thank you. Mr. Nachang is the Chief Executive Officer of Settlement House Training Institute. And please permit me to quickly say, my mentor that just spoke, that just ended speaking, is the President, Mediation Training Institute, Nigeria, and a life member of the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators. And he is part of so many national and international institutes. We appreciate you, sir. Over to you, Mr. Nachang.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you for the webinar. It has been very interesting learning some of the unutilized ADR mechanisms that are available. Thank you very much for that good work. Let me start by maybe adding, speaking a little on the question asked by Mr. Chidi as to the cost of either ADR as compared to the court system. Well, our revered mentor has spoken, and he has highlighted a lot of this, the importance and as well as what it takes to go through some of the processes in litigation, and then from the lower courts to the Court of Appeal. I have heard of matters that have stayed in court long enough for a child to be born, married, and give birth to children. And you see that the children sometimes grow to inherit the disputes that their own parents are trying to resolve in the court. Now, if we look at the importance of the process, and how it can help the parties get involved in the resolution of their disputes, and knowing that it is party driven, it is a process that I believe that every disputant will be much more willing to adopt. And then I also believe that as lawyers, according to the rules of professional conduct that we have for legal practitioners, under section 15 sub 3D, thereabout, it is part of a lawyer's professional responsibility to introduce ADR to their clients and advise them accordingly to utilize the process before going to court. That's if they are not able to resolve. But I tell you, once parties are able to explore this process, this ADR mechanism, if negotiation did not work between themselves, mediation will work. If mediation did not work, arbitration will work. And you know, when you get to the arbitration table, one way or the other, you will have a decision. The good thing about this is that the parties can decide the process, they can decide the timing, they can decide where it should be held, they can decide the length of time. You know, all of these things are available for parties. And I believe that every disputant, when he has the opportunity to choose the option for the resolution of his dispute, definitely he will go for ADR. So he will go for ADR. And just as our mentor has said, you know, ADR is more or less an express service, which is supposed to cost higher. But you know, we are in a time where we are trying to promote the practice of alternative dispute resolution. So there are a lot of processes. In fact, ad hoc ADR processes, like you know, aside from institutionalized one, you can get a mediator and arbitrator, you can appoint him, and then you go through your process, you negotiate the fee. If you feel that the fee is too much, I believe that you can get ad hoc mediators, arbitrators, or ADR practitioners that you can appoint to help you resolve the disputes, you know, and you negotiate your fee and all of those things. So I believe that no matter how you look at it, ADR is actually cost effective. In my own opinion, it's cost effective because you have the opportunity to be involved in the process, you have the opportunity to negotiate cost, you have the opportunity to decide those that are going to help you resolve their disputes. All of these things are not available in the court system. Aside from the backlogs, I have done a matter where they adjourn the matter for like 4 months, 5 months thereabout. I have been waiting for a ruling from a court, from the High Court. This is about 2 years, if not the third year now. Just a ruling on whether to set aside the judgment of court or to, you know, nullify the process and start all afresh. Just a ruling. We have been waiting on the court for how many years? Are we talking about the criminal matter? I have some clients, 5 of them who have been detained. This is more than 5 years now. They have been in the prison. They have not been released on bail. You know, just to adopt their final written addresses is taking years. This is the kind of system we are in. That's why I believe that this alternative mechanism, that's this alternative dispute mechanisms that we have, are going to make great impact in our society and in the kind of disputes that we have. In fact, there are some disputes that have no business going to court if only we understand the importance of these alternative dispute mechanisms that we have. So I believe that ADR is actually cost effective from whatsoever viewpoint you want to, because I believe that a disputant, instead of going to the court and then the court deciding for him, I think he will prefer a process where he will be involved in the process of deciding what happens to his case, what happens to his case. You know, in fact, sometimes parties are willing to make compromises, but when they are in court, they may not even have that opportunity. when you want to make an approach, the other person will begin to feel that, oh, maybe it's because your case is weak. It's because, you know, when you go on in court, there is a tendency you're going to lose. That is why you are making attempt. So even where parties are ready to compromise and bring the matter to an end, you discover that the process in the court will not even will not allow the parties to do so. So if you look at the time you are going to expend, the enmity, I have not seen any matter I've done and I got judgment, and the party on the other side will come up to say, oh, thank God that you won. I've never seen it. So it's always animosity, enmity. In fact, sometimes clients will want to transfer the enmity to their lawyers. Why do you greet this my opponent? Are we not doing a case against them? Why do you greet them? You know, so these are some of the things that when we look at, we believe that ADR and alternative dispute resolution is cost effective and
Yes,
should be something that everyone should go for. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, the CEO of Settlement House ADR Training Institute. Thank you for your insights. It's my privilege to bring my boss on board, Mr. Valentino Burr. Please share your thoughts as regards the issues on board. We are glad that you could stay with us till this time. The floor is yours,
Thank
sir,
you very
Mr. Burr.
much. Yeah, thank you very much, Samuel, for a very brilliant and impactful session. It's been very interesting. I have been on and off the call about something that caught my attention was your opinion about the need to build the ad hoc processes. We have several thousands of mediators today who are unemployed. Although it is a global phenomenon, but I think that some other jurisdictions are making better use of the opportunity. I want to state that this one appears to be a systemic thing. You know, in our country, we have millions and millions of graduates who are unemployed. It is fun to listen to a mechanical engineer complain about his car breaking down on the way, and he's seeking the roadside mechanic to come and fix it up for him. So also you will discover that with the hundreds of mediators that we have, mediation centers can be set up. Groups can come together. Colleagues can come together and form partnerships. The idea of a solo mediator or mediation advocate should be jettisoned. People should try to come together because there is power in numbers, and it will help to promote ad hoc mediation. Because when you think about going alone, a number of things face you: accommodation, the time to be able to attend to all parties, your skill set. All of this can be brought together if a handful of colleagues come together and want to share resources and then start up mediation centers or offices or whatever other name you want to brand it. The idea of relying on institutional engagement is not the best. How many mediators can any one multi-door courthouse engage? Just a handful. And if they engage those ones, even you would observe that even as at now, at this stage of development, some of the multi-door courthouses are not operating at the optimum. A lot of work needs to be done by way of enlightening the public, by way of marketing the process. And this can be done by us who are professionals. Teamwork. Something you didn't mention much, if you did, maybe I missed it off, is this idea of mediation advocacy. Mediation advocacy is a skill set that is different from the role of a mediator, from the role of an arbitrator, or whatever else. Mediation advocates are like the lawyers of the process. In mediation, parties do not get advice from mediators. They need to be prepared to understand the mediation process and to enter into the process and run through it seamlessly. And whose burden is this to make that happen? It is the burden of mediation advocates and advisors. Lawyers and non-lawyers can be trained as mediation advocates. When they are lawyers, they are branded as mediation advocates, and when they are non-lawyers, they are branded as mediation advisors. Their simple task is to market the process to parties, to prepare the parties for the process, and to represent them at the mediation session. Unlike the court process where the lawyer takes the shine or is at the forefront of arguing matters, in mediation, the mediation advocate or advisor is a consultant, is a friend, is somebody, a supporter who whispers to the party when there is need, because ordinarily he's supposed to have prepared the party sufficiently enough, just like the coach, for the parties to be on the field of play while you are on the sidelines. So I think more people should opt and go in for training as mediation advisors and mediation advocates. In fact, that is also the user platform. That is, it also serves as a user guide for people who are coming into mediation. So while that is on, let us explore partnerships. Let us build institutions of our own, 10 persons, 3 persons, whatever number of persons, and start small. When you start small, you can then grow. And of course, the laws are provided sufficiently that whatever cases are resolved by professional mediators outside of the institutional settings can be registered through the multi-door courthouses for enforcement. So you don't need any other thing to validate you other than that you carry out a proper process of mediation. And at the end of the day, when parties have signed, you take this to a multi-door courthouse for registration for enforcement, should it be necessary. So webinars such as this and a lot more from more experienced persons are needed and required to enrich us, to refresh us, to even refresh us who are practitioners to look at some other areas of engagement other than just getting the certificate, keeping it out in a file, and that is the end of it. So thank you very much, Samuel, for a good job, and may God help you in doing a lot more.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you for all you have been doing. Noble Lords, Your Excellencies, please permit me at this juncture to quickly spotlight the next webinar that will be coming up. Next week, Tuesday, we'll be having a webinar. The theme is facility-based management in ADR processes, and we're spotlighting a private dispute resolution center owned by no other than our revered Isiokun, a retired chief magistrate special grade from the Edo State Judiciary. She owns a private dispute resolution center, and please do well to tag on. We'll be sending you the details as we make progress. Next week, Tuesday, we'll be here. I want to especially thank every one of you. The School of Alternative Dispute Resolution is putting together a 1-month intensive training course on alternative dispute resolution. From the 1st of June to the last day of June, please do well to tag along. If you'll be interested to undergo this training, send in your details and we'll communicate with you. The Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators, ICMC, the foremost mediation institute in Black Africa. We have trainings that we hold. If you're interested, please do well to contact us and we will give you details. The Edo State Multi-Door Court has an online dispute resolution center. Oh, Ambassador Goyomo, the floor is yours, please. You can share your thoughts. Thank you, sir.
The lady invited today, and she created time to be part of the webinar. I want to especially thank and appreciate her. Tell her that any training she wants to attend, I'll be glad to pick the bills.
Wow. So many, did you hear that?
I'm in
So many, are you
shock.
still with us?
I'm in shock. I heard it. God bless you, sir. Thank you
Wow.
so much. God bless you. I look forward to further discussions also. Thank you. Sam, thank you too. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you. Wow.
Your Excellency, thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm fulfilled. I think we don't need to we don't need to spend extra time. Thank you so much, sir. God reward you exceedingly. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you, sir. Wow. We have the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators. We have the Nigerian Institute of Chartered Arbitrators. If you feel like undergoing any training on any of these institutes, do well to let us know, and we will get you all the information you need. I want to appreciate everyone, noble lords, your excellency. Thank you for finding time to begin the new month with us at Paxetcuris and Associate Consults. Thank you. You all are great, and we appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. 1 hour webinar became 2 hours. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And for all that stayed to the end, thank you so much. Thank you, Janet Nachan. Thank you, Olufemi. Thank you, Settlement House. Thank you, my boss, Mr. Valentino. Thank you, Ambassador Ogunyomo. Thank you, Chidi. Thank you, Azaria. Thank you, Gloria Jude. So Mina, congratulations. We'll talk more offline. Thank you. You have to drop in your name, phone number, and email addresses to get the recorded version of this training. Thank you.